Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VoxWork. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the VoxWork podcast. My name is Asmogan, and these are my co-hosts, Nathan X2000.
Hello, once again, thank you for having me.
And Nicho 40K.
Pleasure to be back, my good sir.
Yes, these two wonderful co-hosts will be running things most of the way through this. I'm going to try and referee as always, but if you guys can't tell just from listening, I am unfortunately playing host to Nurglings spreading their plague in my body. And I'm going to try my best to keep it under wraps, but if you hear retching in the background, that's one of them trying to climb up my throat. Little buggers are really going at me today. It's great. It's amazing. Yeah, so if there's a lot of jump cuts in this, you probably won't see them visually, but you'll definitely hear them. That's why. I'm going to try and edit around the worst of it. So, with any luck, all y'all wonderful people watching and listening will not have to be plagued with my plague. Anyway, that being said, today's topics that we're going to be going through, the first one is going to be the best 40k product each of us have consumed. Then we're moving on to the best Xenos faction and why, and is the Imperium evil, will be what we'll cap off this wonderful podcast episode with. So, without too much preamble, unless you guys want to make some quick shout-outs or announcements.
I was going to make a quick suggestion.
All right, Nathan, shoot.
Maybe for the Nurgle appreciators out there, you can do a final cut compilation, like on a different day of every single time you coughed, sneezed, or retched during this episode.
No, I don't think I will.
Let's move on to the first topic. All right, so best 40k product we've each consumed. Who wants to go first? And that'll set the tone for what order we go in for each topic.
Shall I go first?
You
If
can,
you'd like.
good sir.
It's kind of an easy one in this one. In terms of the best products I've consumed, in terms of video games, definitely Dawn of War. It is just the easiest thing. It's
You motherfucker.
yes. I mean, can you blame me?
No,
It's Dawn of War.
Yeah.
because all of us have that as the best one. I'm pretty
The
sure.
ultimate.
God damn it.
Yes.
I actually
And
have.
ultimate-
I figured all of us would have this, so I have my second most listed
Okay.
in a different category. So I have a backup to list that is separate from that, but I will admit that is my top, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's just such an easy in for new 40k fans. In general,
absolutely.
especially if you love RTS.
I mean, it's also a great preview for playing the tabletop, believe it or not.
Is it?
Yeah. It's not perfect. Like, it's not like a one-to-one. Like, oh, if you play Dawn of War, you know how to play 40k. No, absolutely not. But it has, similar to how 40k operates on the tabletop. It's squad-based. Same with how your units work on the tabletop. They're squad-based. They move in unison with each other. Generally, there are special stratagems and abilities like you can use in the RTS. You can use on the tabletop using command points. There is some carryover. Like I said, though, it's not one-to-one. But it does, believe it or not, if you want to get someone started on the tabletop from nothing, you can do worse than, tell them, hey, play a little bit of Dawn of War, and from there, I'll fill in the gaps on how the tabletop works separate from that.
Yeah, it's also, despite having been coming out, when did it come out? 2004? Something like that?
Yes, I think it was 2004, 2003.
Yeah, it's still, compared to like other games, it has aged pretty well. Outside of the engine, maybe.
Yeah, I know it came out around the same time as Warcraft 3.
Yeah, 20th September 2004.
Yeah. And, Warcraft 3 came out the same year. Honestly, amazing year for, like, high-tier RTSs.
Wait, so that means the 20th anniversary is going to be in September.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let us hope that they don't try and do anything with that.
Yeah, just promote the original game. Just
Please do not try and make a remake of... or worse, do not make a reforged of Dawn of War 1. God, no, please.
No.
Leave it be.
I have all my my local CD of Dawn of War, so that if they ever try and pull a reforge situation, I've got that shit on physical fucking hardware.
I don't. I have it on Steam.
You are not taking away my Dawn of War. It is sacred to me. It's sacred to all of us.
Good God.
Yes.
If they want to try and make a remake, fine, but leave the original at least. Like, before Warcraft 3 Reforged, and this is the only tangent I'll go on today, at least try to. Like, I never thought there was a worse idea than making a really terrible remake of an original game. Then Reforged came out, and I'm like, no, there is something worse than a remake. It's it's a facelift pretending it's a remake, overwriting the original game's code.
Now,
Far
unfortunately-
worse.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I've never played Warcraft 3, so just like, what are the things? Did they take pretty much everything away from Reforged? The original, I mean.
Again, not wanting to make this a long tangent, but they really all they did to change it was they made the connectivity a lot worse. They took away all the internet service quality of lives that we had for over a decade and a half. What they gave us in return for destroying all internet connection and integrity and server stability was some graphic quote-unquote upgrades, which quite honestly look a lot uglier than the old school pixelated boxiness that we had before. They didn't give us a whole new campaign, remastered maps and shit like they promised. Voice acting, they pretty much copy and paste from the original game, but did a lot of weird ADR where they ruined a lot of character interactions for no discernible reason. So yeah, generally speaking, we got nothing, and if anything, what came out of it, we actually had things taken away, mostly the stability. The biggest fuck you that we got was there was a map editor for the original. It was basically so you could make your own maps and mods and stuff. Like, they literally gave you all the tools to make custom maps and games and campaigns for free way back when. In 2004, you could make entire maps with the all the tools and a game engine that Warcraft 3 was on, and the devs just gave it to you like it was its own game, effectively. That's actually where that's where Dota and League of Legends came from.
I was gonna say that's where like a lot of old school in fact, like a shit ton of old school RTSs came with like the map editor. It was almost seen as like a basic sort of tool to be given, because then the community would then drive engagement beyond the game's life cycle.
Yep. It was literally like it was literally giving not only mod tools but giving them the dev tools. It's like, hey, go ham, do what you want, and it was fantastic. And the thing is, they still gave us. We still have the map editor, but they changed rules with it. Now, if you make something in the map editor, Blizzard owns it. Doesn't matter what it is. And the reason that they did that is because of Dota and League of Legends. Those were made off of the original map editor for Warcraft 3, and both of those became household names that made billions of dollars collectively between Dota and League of Legends. So, and Blizzard didn't get to see a dime of that. So, yeah. They got stung by that so hard that when Reforged came out, and honestly, I'm partially convinced that this is the whole reason Reforged exists, is so they could make it so nobody makes any other new groundbreaking game designs in their map editor for free, and then making billions of dollars off of it, and they don't see a penny. Basically, they're petty bitches. But again, this is a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, and definitely don't want that attitude like transfer over to Dawn of War. Just don't. Just leave it. Let it be. Let it be.
I kind of hope that they forgot it existed.
It's the exact reason why the discs that I have, I treat them like Mechanicus STCs. Like, they do not leave my sight. They are firmly sealed within their own like there's the disc box, and then I've got my own little airtight container. So even in the year 2152, when I open that bad boy up, those bitches will still be fresh.
I just kind of imagine you build a shrine around them. Just like you give them.
I fucking would if I have the time.
Just kind of imagine it now. You sit it right next to the glass, or just like the window. It's like you put it in Nance's.
Nathan walks in with a red robe and an incense chain, just kind of swinging back and forth.
Yes,
I would like. Do you know the way you used to be able to clean discs back in the day? Obviously, when you spray the back of the disc with a bit of water, a bit of cloth, and then you put it in. I would happily get a nice golden spray bottle, mix it with hot warm water and fucking holy water, and just spray the back of those discs ever so gently and caress it for 10 minutes, making sure it's like
I just kind of love the idea you're
premium
doing this.
condition.
I just kind of love the idea you're doing this. Like Barry White music's in the background. Oh yeah.
Saxophone. Do 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 do.
Oh my god.
Nathan makes more love to those Dawn of War CDs than he does his own girlfriend.
Oh my.
Fucking like she comes in like, Nathan, are you quite finished? Are you coming to bed? Silence, wench. I must tend to my discs.
Oh, oh my God.
Okay. All right. So Nathan, I presume your answer to the same topic is likewise the Dawn of War 1.
Yeah, it is because I mean, like not to reiterate, but
It's kind of the reverse.
was
Yeah, it's kind of the reverse of what
my-
happened last episode. Because remember how with every topic we all had different answers?
Yeah,
Mm.
Which kind of surprised me. But starting off, we all have the same answer for this.
To be fair, like Thunder Psyker in his video when he did cover the Dawn of War series, he did say something that like it is a long held sentiment within the community is the fact that Dawn of War was Warhammer for people like me who had no fucking idea what Warhammer was. Like I played Dark Crusade when my dad originally had the disc, played it, and then whenever I'd walk past like a Games Workshop store when I was young, I'd always point and go, "Oh look, there's the robot dudes from Dawn of War. There's the human battle dudes from Dawn of War." I'd never think, "Oh, there's Warhammer 40k stuff." I go, "Oh, there's Dawn of War stuff," and it was only then that I realized, oh, it's part of a bigger franchise. Ah,
Mm.
keep in mind, I was like, what, 7 or 8 at the time, so I was a bit of a bumblefuck.
Nah, I think there's a lot of people who are like that. Like a lot of people got in the hobby from Dawn of War.
Mm.
Yeah. Definitely got into RTSs things with Dawn of War because I did not touch RTSs in general. But then of course
Really?
yeah, not really. Not really. I tried a little bit of StarCraft as a kid and I was really shit at it. Because again,
StarCraft 1
I
or
didn't
2?
under- StarCraft 1. I mean,
Okay.
sorry. StarCraft, yeah, because StarCraft 1 was on every PC back in the day. Back in those square like monitors, remember those?
You mean the blocks that were so heavy if you dropped them from any kind of height, at best you would give someone a brain hemorrhage, at worst you would crush their toes?
Yes. Yes, I remember. And yeah, obviously back in the day the issue was I didn't understand English, so I didn't know half the controls and all that kind of stuff.
The
then
Herkadurka times.
I thought you had. Yes. But then, obviously got into Warhammer, and then I saw Dawn of War, and everyone was talking about how great Dawn of War is. It's like, nah, but it's an RTS. I don't know. And I was like, eventually I bought it, tried it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this. And then just like it just sucks you in, kind of. I don't have any other word for it other than it kind of just sucks you in. Because if you're already like, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I
Is that phrasing, mister?
yeah,
I don't know any better alternatives, but
yeah, before I give my alternative answer to this question, I will say this for my Dawn of War experience. I actually, I've shared my story of how I got into 40k too many times as it is, but I didn't get into 40k through Dawn of War. In fact, I didn't play Dawn of War for a long ass time. Like I didn't play it till I want to say I was like 16, so it would have been 2015 when I finally got around to playing it.
Really?
Yeah, I played the Space Marine game long before I played the Dawn of War game.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, my dad did own the original Dawn of War on disc. Emphasis on did. We no longer have. A lot of our old CD cases got lost in was our move to Kentucky. We lost a lot of them. But
shame.
yeah, and the original CDs we had for the Dawn of War game were gone. But but that was like 2018 when that happened. So before that though, I got to play them on my dad's big box computer downstairs, and I got to play the Dawn of War games in 2016. But the interesting thing is I'm a huge RTS guy. Like, I love RTS games. I grew up playing Warcraft 3, StarCraft, StarCraft 2, StarCraft 1, StarCraft 1's expansion with Brood War. I played the first two Warcraft games. I played all of the Command and Conquer RTS games. I even played the FPS spinoff of Command and Conquer Renegade. Like, I was a huge RTS guy. You know, Age of Empires, Age of Mythology, all that stuff was my jam. It's kind of interesting that I didn't get into Dawn of War until the mid 2010s.
That's why it surprised me, because like we've had conversations in the past where you'd explain, your love of RTSs. I mean, you've even got like an RTS retrospective series on your
Yeah.
channel. Shameless plug, by the way. But yeah, I was on Asmogan's channel, and you'd mentioned how you'd got into Warhammer early on, obviously when you were in, was it high school or middle school?
Very beginning of high school when I was 13.
But it's the fact that loves RTSs, got into Warhammer. It's almost like there's a direct connection that you could make with a certain product that they released, and you never did it until you were 16.
Well, it's not like it came across my mind like, oh, is there a Warhammer RTS? It's like, well, no, like my friend, and looking back, maybe I should have asked Dan if there were video games around it. I found out there were Warhammer video games just because, I did Google Warhammer video games. And I think Dawn of War was in my Google search, but for some reason, the one I focused on was the Space Marine game, which I ended up
It's the
picking.
most critically acclaimed it's one of the most critically acclaimed RTSs.
I know,
How the
like,
fuck do you
I don't
not know about it.
I don't have a good explanation. It's just like I wasn't what I came across.
To be fair, like I think I told you before, like Space Marine was the first 40k game I ever played. Like before I got into Dawn of War, this was like before I got into Warhammer itself, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is fun. I don't know anything what's happening though.
It's like this is a quirky setting, yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, but like that being said, though, like as much as 2016 to all of us doesn't feel like that long ago, it's almost been like it's been 8 years since 2016. We're coming up on a decade.
Nah.
Yeah.
We're in 2024, boys. 2 more years, just 2 more, and then it's been a decade since 2016. Oh God, that'll make you want to kick the chair away. Anyway, so my alternative answer though to the best 40k product, and I think we all agree it's objectively Dawn of War 1, but trying to come up with a follow-up, I would say, and also trying to not do video games, I decided to go with the tabletop, and I'm going to say it's probably, kind of torn here. I'm going to go with, for the physical product, the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness box set. Like, for me, I fucking love that box set. Like, all the Space Marine goodness, they're not Primaris. I'm not a huge fan of the beaky helms, but you could very easily, like, swap that out.
That is sacrilege in the Warhammer 40k fucking communities. Goes, what? You don't like beakies?
I don't hate beakies. It's just, like, I don't play Raven Guard. Like, leave me alone. I play the Imperial Fists, and they are Mark III. Like, the one thing, especially from the Horus Heresy era, I think Iron Warriors fans and Imperial Fist fans can actually agree on, is the Mark III armor and helm is the iconic look for both. It's just the grills, it's the knight look almost, the crusading helm, it's the bulkiness of the armor. It's so iconic. The beaky helms, in my opinion, are nowhere near as cool looking. They're actually quite goofy looking by comparison.
One eternity later.
I left you guys in stunned silence. Okay.
No, I agree, but I think actually because you mentioned having an alternative take other than Dawn of War, for the best product, again sticking to video games. Gotta say it's a bit between Mechanicus and Inquisitor Martyr. Only because Mechanicus has.
So you're still going video games? At least I left video games.
Oh, who said? No, but yeah, it's just I'm very torn because Mechanicus has the best soundtrack.
Okay,
It has,
I'll give you this for Mechanicus, but really, Martyr?
Yeah,
mean, to be,
Like
it's
Martyr beat out Space Marine.
it's more so just I don't know what it is. I've just clocked in so many hours into Martyr. It's just
Hell, have
it's
you
kind
played
of
the new Rogue Trader game?
I do have it. I have made a character, and I'm finishing through other things. Again, I've been editing the video, and I want to get into this. Like I want to try my best to, because I got spoiled on a few things. I'm just like, nope, no, no, no. I'm gonna wait until I've completely forgotten, and I want to enter it fresh.
Yeah, are you gonna like finish all like stuff that you're currently working on, and then you're just gonna sink an entire week into it, like we won't even hear from you, because it's one of those type of games.
Maybe,
I
maybe
mean,
you never
I
know.
Rogue
was thinking of
Trader's
doing the same.
pretty. I'll say this: like I haven't finished it, but just from what I've played so far, I'd put it in the top 3 40K games.
Da-
Ooh,
Yeah,
it's a
I
high
think,
bar.
in my opinion, I think it beats Mechanicus. The ending might completely change my mind, but so far, I'd put it above Mechanicus.
Well, we'll
It's
see.
third. It's for me. It's third behind Dawn of War 1 at number 1 and Space Marine at number 2, and then third is Rogue Trader for me.
I think what's my ranking? Obviously, Dawn of War, Mechanicus, and well, Space Marine. To be fair, I kind of retract the whole Inquisitor Armada thing when you think about it, because I've just I sucked the most hours into it. But what really do I remember from it? Space Marine though, that one's a lot of fun. That one, I mean, obviously plays like a Gears of War game with a lot of 40K aesthetics, and it looks really cool. And if I wanted to get someone into like on the action side of things into 40K, I would say go play it. But like one piece of warning is like if you are brand new to the series, you're not gonna know anything what's gonna happen outside of what the game tells you. Outside maybe no, actually maybe also bolt gun. Maybe that's like under Space Marine, or maybe above it. I don't know. It's a difficult one.
Fuck, I actually forgot about bolt gun until you just reminded me.
You forgot about Bolt. I at least didn't forget about it. I just don't like. For me, Bolt Gun is a very fun and good game.
Oh
But
yeah.
for what it is, like if you close your eyes, it's pretty much honestly like it's just it doesn't have much of a like active story really. Like it's
Mhm.
it's got a story, like there is a justification for why you're there, but it's a boomer shooter through and through. To the point where it's not very story focused. It's about the action. It's about the aggression. It's about the constant move feel. So it's a great game, but for me, for it to be a great 40K game, it has to explore some of like the essence of 40K a little bit beyond. I'm not trying to dog on it. Like as a video game, it's great, and I think it's one of the best video games I've played in the last 10 years. Although some people would say that's not a very high bar, but I'd say it's a very, very, very good game. It's just would I put it in my top 5 40K games? Probably at 5. I mean, would I say it's a better 40K game than Mechanicus? No. Is it better than Space Marine? No. Is it better than Rogue Trader? Definitely not. Is it better than Dawn of War 1? No. But
But then again, it's like what really is better than Dawn of War 1?
nothing.
like
Is at the top.
well, there's also Shoot Us Blood and Teeth.
That is very
I mean-
good, and I will say this for Bolt Gun. It is better than that. Not because, again, we're not talking like, oh, it's better because this is bad. No, it's because this is really good because it does encapsulate an element of 40K, and so does this. Shoot Us Blood and Teeth, it's fantastic, but aesthetically, it is not right for 40K. It's cartoony as shit.
Yeah, but I do think it like really fits with the orcs in particular.
Oh, yeah,
But if
absolutely.
you tried that with any other faction, it wouldn't really fit.
Right, but think about it. It's so goofy and crazy. Like,
Mhm.
if you were to take someone, say, show them Shoot Us Blood and Teeth, and then you were to have them sit down and read the Horus Heresy, or just literally just the very first book, Horus Rising, and say, hey, are these part of the same thing? And they're like, no, these are completely fucking different. It's like, it's great to encapsulate the orcs, but just the orcs, really.
So Nathan, do you have like a tier list of video games of 40K? Or
I mean,
Not so much a tier list, but I do have an alternative, like Asmo had already said earlier, because I did anticipate that all three of us absolutely love Dawn of War, because it's almost like we've been playing Ultimate Apocalypse a lot recently.
I mean, I
Mm.
wanted to play it the other day, but then like everybody was tired and busy and wanted
I was busy. I'm sorry, baby. I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, okay? I was legit tired. It was one of the worst week.
Sorry to hear that. All right,
Yeah.
go Nathan. What's your alternative pick?
I'm so pissed that you mentioned it before, but it's
What?
Space Marine.
Wow.
It legit is Space Marine.
I don't mind.
Because I mean, this is before I found out like about the Ultramarines. Because before I found out about 40K, there was still that period of time in between, Dawn of War and actually realizing it was part of like a bigger sort of universe of 40K. I was still in that mindset of Dawn of War. So when they released Space Marine, I was like, oh, they made the dudes from Dawn of War into a game like Gears of War, which I was a massive Gears header at the time. Played it, and I remember shitting on the game initially, saying, "Oh, well, because like it's so Dawn of War, because it was so Dawn of War focused. I was like, oh, this game's gonna be bad because it's not got the Eldar in it. It's got the Orcs, it's got Chaos, but where's the Eldar? Eldar is pivotal to Dawn of War, like an absolute dickhead I was. Played it, and it was one of my. It still is one of my favorite games to date. It's so like because it gave us access to a bunch of weapons that we never really saw in other games, like the Stalker Bolter, the Vengeance Launcher, and you can't tell me those weapons were not fun when you were kicking the shit out of like Nemroth's forces as well as like
Who wants to
Grimskulls.
launch? Who wants to launch grenades when you can launch vengeance?
Exactly.
Also, the memes that came out of that game, Jesus.
Oh yeah, they were so brilliant. But yeah, so because I've not really engaged a lot in the tabletop, like, I mean, I have miniatures on the side, I have the paints, I'm just waiting for a good evening to do them properly. I mainly have been on the video game and lore sort of diving side. So video games, to be fair, are a good sort of way to get into like an expanded universe because they're very interactive. So Dawn of War and Space Marine are my top picks. Plus, it's the only thing that doesn't, black pill me on like Ultramarines because I can at least look at Titus and go, that's how you do it. That's the only Ultramarine. Oh wait,
Which
no,
is
one of the
ironic
only two
considering
Ultramarines I
he's
like.
the least Ultramarine ever.
I know.
Are you upset
Well,
with
like
him being a
him
Primaris?
and Sidonis, only two Ultramarines to like.
And they are the least Ultramarines.
I know.
It's why I love it when whenever I talk to Ultramarine fans and I say, hey, who's your favorite Ultramarine? Now, obviously, oftentimes you'll get Gilliman or you'll get fucking Calgar, which I don't know why anybody likes Calgar, but like you'll get those answers. It's like, oh, I like Calgar. But then I love it when I hear someone say, oh, Captain Titus from the Space Marine video game. And like before anyone thinks I'm about to dog on people for like, oh, it's not canon. And I think it actually became canon, but don't correct me on that. I don't know if it is actually or not. I don't care really because it's regardless. The reason I find that funny is because he is the least Ultramarine ever. Literally, the game starts with him being nagged on by everyone's least favorite character from that game, Leandros, saying, "Sir, sir,
that motherfucker.
Sir, the Codex Astartes does not support this action." And, and fucking
Boy,
Captain Titus says, effectively says, I'm paraphrasing here, I don't give a fuck, jumps out of the craft and literally proceeds to completely not give two shits about what the Codex Astartes says about anything he's doing. Like, the whole game is about him not giving a rat's ass about the written down space book rules. And for a lot of Ultramarines, that's all it takes. to be written down in their book as a heretic. It's like, oh, you don't follow this list of rules religiously? Well, you're the worst of the worst. Fuck you. Die. Ultramarines hate it. Hate it when you don't go exactly to what the Codex Astartes says. So I just find it so funny when anybody ever says that. It's like, okay, you like this Ultramarine for all the qualities that an Ultramarine despises. And then I ask them what their least favorite character is from the same game, and they say Leandros. It's like, okay, the character you hate most from this game is the most Ultramarine in that fucking game. He is a bog standard Ultramarine. Everything he does is through the lens of the Codex Astartes, and if you don't follow it word for word, you deserve getting reported to the higher ups to get fucked over. That is an Ultramarine. Like, I find that funny, but that's just me being a little petty.
I will say two things. If I ever meet an Ultramarines fan and your answer for favorite character is Kato Sicarius, I'm just like, I'm getting out.
Ugh.
I'm like, no. But two,
I will say this: it's better than Calgar, but still.
Yeah, Nico. So I know as when I brought this up to you knew, but Nico, did you know that the Space Marines in Space Marine, I think it's like a different universe or like an altering universe.
mm-hmm.
Like it's its own timeline. But Titus is the replacement for Cato Sicarius. Cato Sicarius does not exist in his current position. Like it's strictly Titus. And
Yes.
that's another reason why I like him.
I
I
love
fucking
that.
I fucking hate Sicarius.
Yes.
I can respect that.
But also I would say one thing I am kind of interested in seeing, because again, like you mentioned, like how he does not really follow the Codex Astartes, and that's like considered heresy. I would love to have a scene in the next Space Marine game where he just meets Rabute Gilliman and he's just flat out straight, I don't really follow the Codex Astartes. It's like, at best I view it as advice, and Rabute is just like mood kindred.
I could just imagine like Titus walking up to Rabute and he goes, "Hey, do you already think of your space book?" Puts it underneath his ass and starts dragging his ass across the floor like a fucking dog with worms. So, yeah, do you think of this bitch that's called me a heretic?
Hey, fucking even Gilliman, when he woke up, he changed the rules in the fucking space book. I just want to point that out. Like, literally, the man himself, who the fucking Ultramarines have been jacking off to for the last fucking... Ugh. Anyway.
He changes the rules the moment he wakes up. Like, yes, let me alter the Codex Schizophrenia.
Like, he literally woke up and he went, yeah, this could have been better. The man himself fucking fixed it. Like, are you kidding me? Like, he himself was like, why are you guys following this to a T? Like, I want you to follow it, but I want you to follow it like this.
More like advice, man.
The edition he gave out was just a rough draft, and everyone had to follow that fucking example. If he had to edit it later.
Pretty much. All right.
Yeah.
So let's. So we've all had pretty solid A and B answers to the first topic question. So without further ado, let's move on to the next one. So the next topic is best Xenos faction and why. And you guys can very easily guess mine.
And why do we all agree it's the orcs?
All right.
So I'm guessing you two are talks.
Yes.
Okay, so I got it wrong. What is your favorite, Nathan?
I mean, Nico, you can go first again if you want, or Asmo, you can go first this time.
I'll go first this time, and then we'll go. Then
wanna
we'll go
hit the
Nathan,
further.
and then we'll go Nico. For me, it's the Orcs. It's the ruddy Orcs. The Orcs. Orc. Wah! Yes. The Orcs. I'm gonna take. The Orcs are so fucking amazing. I love the Orcs. I've been playing them since 7th edition. They were my first army, and my first love of 40k. They, for me, were 40k to me for the longest time, and in many ways are. I think the Black Templars are cooler in the lore. I take them more seriously, but the Orcs, for sure, are easily my favorite Xenos faction and second favorite faction overall. Death Skulls for the win, by the way. Some people say Goths. I say Death Skulls. If you disagree, well, guess what? The greatest Goth of all time would be dead right now if Mad Doc Rotznick didn't grab a fucking stapler and put his head back on his body. So, anyway. So, yes, the orcs. Why? Pretty easy. Bad shit insane. And the sole source of unintentional comedy in such a grim, dark setting. They are a source of great destruction, peril, and depression. They add to the grim darkness of the universe, but they also detract from it just enough to give you a sense of relief, because they are just walking memes. Like, they have the psychic power of belief, where if they collectively believe something, it becomes real. But they can't take advantage of that ability solely because they're so fucking stupid. Like, they don't even realize they have the ability. Like for them, it's just like, oh, red means to go faster. Hey, look, that guy wearing red, he's going 20 knots faster than the rest of us.
Oh, it's a flash, that won't.
But wait, he's got no shoes on, and the rest of us got shoes on. Why is he going so fast? Because he's wearing red. And purple's a sneaky. Their logic is impeccable, too, because...
Yeah, have you ever seen a purple orc? No, I've not. Exactly. They're the stealthy ones.
Exactly, like, that's their logic. It's so amazing. Like, it's just so great. They think green is the luckiest color, and that's why so many orcs have unintentional plot armor. They think blue is the blue's the luckiest color, but green is the best color, so that makes orcs the best. It's shit like this that makes them so lovable and amazing. And even their characters, I'm sorry, the biggest, baddest orc of them all, Gazkul Uruk Thraka, became the biggest and baddest because he headbutted the war boss ahead of him to death. After he himself got hit in the skull, he had his skull half blown off by I believe it was a bolter round. He got dragged away by Gretchen. He got repaired together, I believe that time as well, by Mad Doc Rotznick. And he woke up and had a dream while he was in a coma with half his brains leaking out the side of Gork and Mork choosing him to be their great green prophet. So he wakes up and he's like, I gotta be the biggest, baddest orc. And he goes out and he starts telling everybody that, and his war boss comes up and is like, get back in line, you get. And Gaz just smashes his head against his former war bosses until he's dead, and says, see, now I'm in charge. And the orcs, because that's how they work, went, yeah, he's in charge. He's in charge. And all the Gretchen were like, oh, we don't care, just don't eat us. just don't eat us, please. So and then there's fucking Tuska Demon Killer, who was such a ragey fucking boy that he loved to fight, and even more than normal orcs do, and orcs fucking live to fight. And he went all the way to the fucking warp, went into Korn's realm, and to this day in the warp is just living a daily repeat cycle where he wakes up, goes into an arena, and fights to the end of the day, beating the shit out of Korn demons just for Korn, and Korn keeps him alive and doing that because it's funny to him.
That's not I think that speaks volumes to how great the orcs are, is the fact that I think Tuska's one of the only people who actually has a happy ending in the 40k canon.
Yeah, that's all they need to be
orc,
happy.
There is no better pleasure.
They don't feel depression. They don't, because all they need to be happy is to fight. To crump is why they live. And if they only fear death, they don't fear death at all. They just don't want to die, because it's like, if Orc is dead, Orc can't crump. And if an Orc can't crump, then Orc isn't doing his best. So Orc can't die, so he can keep crumping. That's the only reason they avoid death. And even then, they will run into bolter fire. They will run into a lasgun line, fearless, with armor painted random colors, hoping it'll keep them alive. And it does. And it fucking does. And they run headlong into guaranteed fucking death. And they do it all with a fucking smile on their face. They are the happiest, least depressed faction in all of 40k. And the best part is they relieve the rest of us of depression too. Oh, I fucking love them.
The orcs are like if somebody roided up a bunch of 5-year-olds and just like let them out into the universe. Like they believe absolutely batshit things. They are so comedically childish, and every so often you get that one prodigy that actually thinks, what if we attack them on 2 fronts instead of 1? It might go better for us.
What, you mean we don't run in and crump them? No,
It's-
we go around the
yeah.
side and crump them too. Oh.
Oh yeah, and also they find teeth like valuable.
Oh yeah, that's their currency. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
and the thing is, there's been a debate about this amongst orc fans on whether they use human teeth or not. I think it's been agreed on like silently. I don't think GW's confirmed this, but like that's the beauty of orc players and like orc fans is we kind of just agree on this shit at this point. And honestly, GW probably won't correct us. Is like they use like human teeth is like cents. Like you know how like there's like the dollar and the pound and then you have pennies. Like human teeth is like pennies and like you know it's like the lower denomination to orc teeth. And the bad moons have all the best shit because they have the most teeth. Oh god. I'm sorry, I don't know how you can argue the orcs aren't the best faction. That being said though, I've said my piece. Nathan, best Xenos faction and why?
Right. So when you said just then, like I don't know how you can argue that the orcs aren't the best faction. Like in terms of hilarity and comic relief, orcs win hands down, funniest faction.
Mhm.
But I think when you look from the lens of shit being grimdark, you know, you want to get like absolutely brutal and stuff. I love Nids. I love Nids.
Really? I was okay.
Well, what did you think I was gonna go with?
Based on an earlier comment from like the Dawn of War game, for like, oh, Eldar aren't in Space Marine. That's not good. I thought you were gonna say Eldar.
Well, I do like the Eldar, but in terms of like being absolutely fucking terrifying, Nids. Because
I can respect it.
they are. Well, I mean, after growing up on films like Alien and shit like that.
Which they are blatantly a ripoff of. Which I say with love, by the way, but they are.
Yes.
Like, you could be on an agri world, right?
Yep.
You going about your business, tending to your farms, having a nice sort of somewhat malnourished but happy family back in your little hut. And you look up and you're like, oh, it's nighttime. Huh, I didn't realize that. So you go back inside, you check the clock. Wait, what the fuck? It's 10 a.m. The sun should be out. Why the fuck is the sky black? Only for like an Imperial Guard commissar to come and say, by the way, get your armor, get your gun. We need to report to the station at this time. Wait, why? Oh, because that isn't the night sky. Those are like
It's a hive fleet.
tens of millions of space mosquitoes, basically, that are going to come down and they are going to harvest everything you fucking love. Your farm, your wife, your children, your dog, your cats, you, me, the local prostitute that we all fucking sleep with. They're going to harvest everything. You're like, wait, what? What the fuck are they called? I've never heard of them. Yeah, the Imperium kind of doesn't tell you about the Tyranids just in case everyone has an existential crisis and freaks the fuck out.
Don't forget that even Chaos are kind of fucked up by the Tyranids because of their presence in the warp.
I know, like, fucking, what is it? Is it like High Fleet Kronos that is like dedicated to killing demons?
I'm not
I
sure.
think it is. I think it's Kronos.
Hmm.
High Fleet Kronos. High Fleet Kronos is a Tyranid High Fleet that frequently clashes with demons and chaos corrupted prey. Like they haven't, and that's one of the things that makes them so terrifying. They have an adaptation for nearly every single thing you throw at them. And even if you invent some brand new way of fucking with the Tyranids, they'll just be like, okay, give us like, it's like a Dawn of War game. Oh, just give me 5 minutes to prepare like a response to your action. And all of a sudden they just start pumping them out ad nauseum. So no matter how fast you can put up a response to the Tyranids, they can just as easily adapt on the fly and pump out millions with that adaptation, while getting brutally harvested by the other 10,000 things that you didn't prepare for.
Honestly, my favorite theory around the Tyranids is that I don't like the part where people tend to say it's like from the old ones, that they're another creation of the old ones. I don't like that idea. I like the idea that they were created by something even more ancient than them, but that's me. But I like whether they were made by the old ones or not. The part of the theory that I like most is that they are a designed species as a failsafe to chaos. Like their entire purpose is to eradicate all fuel for chaos. And the evidence for that is their shadow in the warp. Like they create a barrier of sorts within the warp and a presence within it. So they push back against the other consciousness within the warp, that being Slanesh, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Khorne. And their main purpose in the Materium, the solid reflection and fuel for the Immaterium, is they eat everything without feeding any of the Chaos Gods. Because they're not fueled by rage or hate, so they don't feel Khorne. They don't spread disease or infection, and they cut life off extremely short without proliferating really any new life. All the life that they generate within the Hive Fleets is using the biomass that they've consumed. Some would argue that's new life, but arguably it's recycling old life and replicating presetted life. It's not they don't proliferate disease, and they don't create true new life with a new consciousness or new soul. So they don't feed Nurgle, arguably. They don't feed Slanesh because they don't engage in excess. Some would say their devouring of all life is that, but again, with the purpose of how they use biomass, they're not just eating for eating's sake. They aren't really engaging in excess, and they also don't have the sentience level to enjoy it, which part of that enjoyment is what feeds Slanesh. So they don't feed Slanesh either, and they also don't feed Tzeentch because they don't really have diverging fates. Tyranids have one goal and one fate that they are dedicated to, and that is the all consumption of all living things and to absorb them into their biomass. So they don't feed any of the 4 Chaos Gods while actively robbing the Chaos Gods of souls in which to feed. So I like the theory that the Tyranids were created as a failsafe, not necessarily just against chaos, but as a force against chaos and similar immaterial entities.
Yeah,
They are the paper shredder of existence. They are slowly eating life away until we're all gone. And so when we're all gone, there's no fuel for chaos, and chaos will finally die and wither.
yeah, I like the comparison. The fact that the Tyranids are basically like a diabetic with low blood sugar. They will eat anything in sight until they are full.
One thing
And the moment it happens again, they'll just go off and eat something else.
One thing actually that kind of confuses me, and I couldn't find an answer for this: do Tyranids fight themselves or not? Like, I mean, like, you have one Hive Fleet versus another Hive Fleet.
Good question.
I mean, on the tabletop, you can fight them, and I do think there are campaign because on the tabletop you can play tournament games between people. There's just kind of matchups, but then you also got narrative campaigns and stuff, some of which have become canon over the years, which is rare. In GW, almost never do that, but it has happened. And I know there are some narrative campaigns people have come up with where Hive Fleets will fight each other. I'm not sure if lore-wise that happens frequently, if ever.
I mean, I can't offer a lore explanation, but I can offer like an evolutionary one in the same that survival of the fittest. Like maybe you'd have 2 Hive Fleets from different tendrils. If it's from the same tendril, it wouldn't make sense. But if it's from 2 different tendrils, then maybe they might fight each other to weed out, like bad sort of Tyranid genetics to kind of like promote the prosperous, like powerful ones, as well as they might fight over biomass as well, because the universe is like limited resources.
I do know that the Tyranids will eat Genestealer cults after they've finished defeating a planet of all its native inhabitants that aren't Genestealers. but once they've eradicated, like let's say they go to an agri world or they go to a hive world, and a gene stealer cult got ready the planet's defenses, and by that I mean weakens them, so that when the Tyranids arrive, they have less of a defense to fight through, and then they'll join forces with the gene stealer cults to eradicate and consume the rest of the life on the planet. And if I'm not mistaken, all of the gene stealers who don't gene stealer cults members that don't almost fully transform into a basically another gene stealer are consumed by the hive fleet and absorbed into the biomass. Although I think they sacrifice themselves willingly. I might be wrong.
It's well within Tyranid law that let's say everything sort of reclaimed from a planet, like the Tyranids can't eat anything else. They will actively jump into that's why they're called reclamation pools, because they reclaim the biomass. Once the Tyranids jump in, all that acid kind of dissolves them, and then the hive fleet just kind of sucks them up from the planet's surface and then just like vermosses somewhere else.
Although, to add to Asmo's interesting theory that they are a failsafe against chaos, one thing that I just thought about.
I can't take credit for the theory. Like it's been there long before me.
It's been long before, okay. But one thing that kind of caught my interest is because if you've ever seen the first edition Tyranids, they look so drastically different to what.
Goofy as fuck.
Yeah, they are really goofy. But I did actually think like it would be really interesting if you had if there would be like a short story of like you can make this like first editions. You can make them like their own species that survive from another galaxy that survived the Tyranids, and they're just seeing the Tyranids in this new galaxy. I'm just like, oh my god.
I mean, it's comforting to know that even Tyranids deal with Down syndrome.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, but yeah, seriously, folks.
Is that a swarm lord? No, it's a sped lord.
If you've never, that's the thing. It's like if you've never seen first edition Tyranids, Google them up now. My god.
Is that a homogaunt? No, it's a tardigaunt.
He's just a little bit special, we believe.
Yeah. Wait, hang on. Now that you mention it, wasn't there something in old lore where gene stealer cults will dedicate themselves to chaos?
I don't know that one off the top of my head, so
I swear to God, I remember seeing something that like gene stealer cult would like, if by no other chaos god, they dedicate themselves to Khorne, because they know that no matter obviously where the blood comes from, Khorne just likes it anyway. So if they're killing bitches out there, they have the favor of Khorne, so they dedicate themselves to Khorne. And possibly Slaanesh, because although they technically don't revel in the bloodshed in the way that Chaos and humans and Eldar do, they do practice excess by eating everything wholesale, like nothing is left, and it's never enough.
Yeah, but then again, it's like you don't really have Tyranids that fall to chaos influence, so I mean.
Well, I mean, that's why I want about gene stealer cults specifically, because I know the Tyranids don't, take pleasure from the excess, but I know when the gene stealers mix with the humans to form the cult, they still get those emotions, like it kind of shines through a little bit, so they can get the favor if that's
in my skin.
Yes. If it's old lore, then I apologize, but I do remember seeing something about them being able to do that.
Yeah, I don't know that one off the top of my head, so I cannot comment.
Nine.
Yeah, that kind of finishes up my answer for the Tyranids. Like, they are every which way to Sunday of, like, complete batshit terrifying. Like, your world will be blanketed, can't contact anyone for help. They arrive in millions, if not billions of units all at once. They have a way of getting through every single defense you could possibly muster. They will adapt to any attack that you throw at them, and only through sheer numbers by your own forces could you even hope to repel them. And they only leave when they're like, nah, it's not worth wasting any biomass. Let's just kind of leave. You don't. And then there's also the theory of the Tyranids are not actually, like, I'm sure you've heard this theory evolve, but the Tyranids are not actually the Tyranid fleet. Like, the tendrils, it's not the actual main Tyranid force. This is a scouting party.
Yeah. I actually still love that theory because every single Tyranid hive fleet has come from the edge of the known galaxy.
I know, and that is existentially fucking, like, that fucks with me.
So yeah, like the idea that these hive fleets that have barely, like in most cases they haven't been at all, but the ones that like, what was the hive fleet that attacked? I can't remember if it was Ultramar specifically, but if the Ultramar system, there was one.
It was either Behemoth or Leviathan.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was, but it got fended off and beaten. Like the hive fleet was destroyed, and they kind of pulled a. I won't call it the holdo maneuver, but they basically shot a ship at it. So I can't remember every detail off the top of my head, but if I recall correctly, they did destroy that hive fleet, like the Ultramarines did.
Both on the Crag and the fuck.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I think that's the only case of a hive fleet truly being destroyed.
Behemoth, yeah, it was Behemoth.
Yeah, I think that's the only case. I can't remember which one attacked Ball. I'm pretty sure that one didn't get destroyed, though. I could be wrong.
Okay, yeah, sorry, that was Leviathan.
Yeah.
That's why I was getting mixed up between the two, because I think they're the two most popular or, like, most well-known Tyranid hive fleets.
Yeah, Leviathan and Behemoth. And, of course, Kronos. I believe it was Hive Fleet Kronos, or... Yeah, pretty sure.
Kronos was the one I mentioned before, the one that kills demons, specifically.
But, regardless, the Hive Fleet that attacked McCrag, that's the only one I think that's been destroyed. And the idea that that is a scouting force, that is nowhere near the full brunt of the attack. That is just the front-facing eyes to see what's going on. Like, that's the very edge of the antenna. We've yet to see what that antenna is attached to. Like, I don't know. I agree with that existential point, and I can see, like, the Tyranids are a pretty good choice. I still like Orcs better, but yeah.
I can imagine if, like, that theory does turn out to be true, like, the Imperium and Chaos are gonna have, like, a Legolas and Gimli moment saying, "I'd never thought I'd fight side by side with a heretic. How about a friend? Works for me."
It won't be a friend
charge
comment.
into the high fleet mouth.
There will be no friendship lost there. How about side by side with a cunt who hates you? Yeah, I could do that.
Fucking, like, Alfarius can be like, "Oh my god, I don't have to pick sides now." Like, fuck. I don't have to be a Hydra. I could just be a single snake.
That would be an awkward as fuck moment, though. Like, they brought Dorn back, and he's standing next to Alfarius or Omegon. We still don't know which one was fucking killed. But, like, he's just standing there like, "So, how you been?" "Oh, I've been great, missing my other half." In my defense, I didn't know you had another half. I thought there was only one of you. Because that makes it better. This isn't going to be a friendly conversation, is it? No. Okay.
Miss my other half. Yeah. So, Dawn, how's that hand of yours, you motherfucker? He's like strangling him.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, that would not, like, if that happened on Helm's Deep, that would not be a friendly conversation.
Oh, fuck. I think I might commission Tehe to do artwork of, like, Homer Simpson choking Bart, but it's just Rogel Dawn just choking Alfarius. What'd you say about my handy little shit?
Oh, God.
Well, anyway, sorry. That's my answer for the Tyranids. Nicho, Orcs, elaborate, mister.
Well, okay. Because already Asmo has gone with the Orcs, and I do love me the Orcs, but I have another one in terms of keeping with the Grimdark. So, obviously, in keeping with the Grimdark, you obviously
the Rape
have
Elves.
motherfucker. Yes, you're right.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Sorry to steal your thunder.
Like
Go
that,
ahead.
you already guessed it, man.
The rape elf.
Just go ahead.
Jesus.
Living in a land. Living in a
keeping with
land
the
of
Grim
snow
Dark.
does weird things too, Asmo.
I'm sorry.
And well, the keeping with the Grimdark thing is just like, yeah, rape elves.
It's like, well, who creepy grimdark? Like, who's grimdark? Who's the Xenos? I don't know. The elves who fucking turn people into furniture and keep them alive while doing so. I mean, that's up there.
Totally. But yes, so definitely the Drukhari, that Dark Eldar. I think in general, a couple of things. Obviously, the big titty elf GF mummy. Even though no one ever should try and seduce a Dark Eldar. I just kind of love the fact that they're one of the one faction. Like, if you do not care in any way about morality, like so they're the perfect fit, but they're also the perfect fit to fight against, because they don't care. They will, they literally go on slave raiding. They create freaking homunculi out of people. I mean, the Tau story. Come on. That one was
That is
absolutely
perfect.
hilarious. That is
That
perfect.
I love that story.
I love it. It's so, for those who do not know, basically the Tau, in their infinite naivete, saw the Dark Eldar, and I'm paraphrasing all the things because I don't remember all the details, but basically they met the Dark Eldar, and the Tau sent ambassadors basically to go alongside with the Dark Eldar, right? When they came back, that was what was it? There was a fight with the Tyranids, I think.
Yeah,
Or...
yeah, yeah. Both of them saw the Tyranids and basically shat themselves, and they're like, "Oh, that
Yeah.
needs dealing with right now."
We need help, and they appreciated the help, but then they figured out that the ambassadors were actually homunculi twisted by the Dark Eldar. Now, when the Tau wanted to get revenge, they were already gone. I love that. There's just, again, like, if you want a faction that does not care, they are perfect for you. They're also the perfect one to fight against. Now, I wouldn't say they're perfect if you want to go in a war situations, because they're more like pirates in general. They don't really go that hard compared to like the Imperium or the Tyranids or the Orcs even.
They're probably the ones you least want to fight.
Yeah.
Because what happens if you lose?
I could just
I mean-
imagine being like a fire warrior on the battlefield, like, "Hey, look, that Dark Eldar Rack looks a lot like Jeff." Wait a minute. Oh no, that's Jeff.
Oh, wait a second.
He's still screaming in agony.
I was like, oh, what's the best fate? I'm gonna be a slave, or worse, I'm gonna be in a freaking gladiatorial arena. And the thing is, like, they will. It's like
A
they
gladiatorial
know
arena where the floor is made of limes and salt.
Yes.
And you're sent in initially completely naked with slits of cuts put on the bottom of your feet.
Oh, the worst. And also just, I can't. They're perfect for the evil. And what else was I gonna say? Yeah, their aesthetics is really cool. I think if you're going for the edgelordy thing, they're perfect. They tend to be in very dark colors. They have spikes everywhere. Just look at Chimera alone from above.
They are peak body horror.
Absolutely. And the fact that they also, not only do they not really care about the pain that they're inflicting, they are, like, again, they have to do it to survive, but they don't care beyond that. That's the thing. They don't care beyond that. It's just like, oh, yes, well, I need to do this to survive, but, well, this is fun too. I just kind of love the idea that, like, a Dark Eldar family picnic would just be like, oh, hey, there's an Acri world. It's like an innocent little Acri world. What do you say, kids? Shall we go and enslave? Yay!
Actually, you know what the funniest, like, I don't think it's a fanfiction. It'd be awesome if someone did this though. But I think the funniest like fanfic story you could do with Jakari is just send like the most degenerate human to get enslaved by them. It's like they immediately start doing all the usual shit to him, and he's like, yes! And they're like, shit, is he one of us? He's really into this. They want to check to see if his ears are really pointy, you know? Like,
Like, they don't appear to be.
Wait, Asmo.
What?
So what was that whole degenerative conversation we had before the podcast, and then Nico reveals his favorite Xenos faction is the Dark fucking Eldar.
Well, he took it personal.
I suddenly feel a lot better about myself.
Mr. Pure over here is like, oh, my favorite faction is a faction where the best case scenario is having heads crushed by thighs. That's the best case scenario.
I mean, they're just above Slanesh in terms of degeneracy. No, just under, but still.
No, just above. You had it right, because that's the thing. Unironically, if you get attacked by Slaneshi demons, they tend to kill you slowly, but they tend to kill you. The Eldar don't kill you. They try their best to avoid it. They want prisoners.
Yeah.
Like a double-edged sword. The universe's best doctors, but they're keeping you alive for a very fucked up reason.
I think it's the funniest thing about Drakari is like a lot of people think Slaneshi demons would be worse. No, like I said, Slaneshi demons will kill you. They don't want to keep you alive. They have no reason to. Not long term. Like, yeah, they want to like suck all the pleasure out of you that they can, and no, not the fun way. Pleasure for them, not for you.
Yes.
Like they will go the distance to fuck you up in all manner of terms that applies to. But they will kill you within the same battle that they initially attack you in. It'll just, be up the anal cavity with a really long barbed tongue. But they will kill you. The Drakari want to take you home and drag it out as long as possible. The reason Slaneshi demons don't do that is because there's no benefit. They're already morphous, like, material embodiments of Slanesh. They already are that. They don't need to appease her. They're a part of her. The Drakari need to appease her so they don't get fucking eaten. So that's why they drag it out, and that's why it's not incorrect to say the Drakari are worse than Slaneshi demons.
I stand corrected.
Oh, right. Hang on. Asmo, Mr. Lawman. So speaking of the Dark Eldar, didn't the Imperium form a little bromance with the Dark Eldar when it came to the Golden Throne?
Wouldn't really call it a brom.
Semantics was being like,
okay. It was more like the Drakari broke the fuck in. The Custodians are like, "Fuck you. We're gonna kill all of you," and the Dark Eldar were like, "Hey, we can fix it." The Custodians are like, "What do you mean you can fix it?"
Fucking like just imagine like a homunculus, but with like 4 arms and like doing finger guns at him, going out like Constantine Baldor, like how we can fix it.
I'd say it's more of an example of the writers don't know that the Custodians are supposed to be really smart, because the Drakari more or less just broke in. We're all, by all manners, about to be killed. Granted, to give them credit, they made it all the way to the fucking throne room. They made it past the Lucifer Blacks, which is not fucking easy to do. They were able to sneak in under the Sisters of Silence, for the most part. They made it all the way to the fucking throne room, and the Custodians basically were ready to fuck them up. And then, and only then, did the Drakari go, okay, hey, by the way, we can help you out. The Custodians are like, didn't you just kill a shit ton of people to get in here that were our allies? Yes. Okay, yeah, we can talk business. It's like, okay.
I just hear the critical thing. It's like, no, it'll be fine.
Calling it bro, man, it was very brief and very small, and quite.
It was
quite
semantics. You knew what I meant.
It's important semantics, I think. Very important semantics, I would argue. Especially if we're talking about the fucking Drakari. Jesus Christ. Oh. Alright. Now on to our biggest topic of the night.
Oh, wait, hang on. Sorry. Just wanted to approach Nico. Any final comments on the Dark Eldar front?
Final comments. Well, if you're looking for both the worst, but also the best of the evil, Drukhari are way up there.
Yeah,
And if you are an edgelord, which come on, there's at least a few.
It's
Go
40k.
with it,
We're all
Drukhari.
edgelords.
yeah.
Mm,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ, metaphor.
Like a freaking magnet for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now on to our final topic of the evening. The big one, I would argue. Is the Imperium evil?
That's quite the question.
I think Nathan
why
should
I-
start this one because I started the last one and you started the first one, Nico.
Oh, well, yeah, this is the question that's been making me scratch my head a lot today.
I think I actually wrote it down in like 3 sections, like by our standards, by their standards, by the galaxy at large. So
Yeah,
if maybe that helps.
it depends in what way do you mean evil? Like, I think it's good to establish a grounded definition that we can all work around rather than just go subjectively evil.
That's was where I was posing is from your logical and subjective point of view of evil. But if you want to have a combined definition, I guess we can hash that out.
And if one person within, like, let's say one person, a very, very high ranking command is evil, does that reflect upon the wider Imperium? Or does the entire Imperium have to be evil?
I would
you get me.
say you can make an argument for its leadership reflecting all those below it. You can also make the argument that the leadership don't reflect the wider Imperium. You can you can also make the argument there's loads of arguments you can make. That's why this is such a loaded question. Why I think it's such a good one to bring up is I think it's a very complicated question, and that's why it's going to be such a good topic.
Because at the same time, while you could argue on the case for the space wolves and the salamanders who constantly go to the aid of human planets, and they choose to, not completely butcher the fucking people on there, like midway through fighting. You could also make the case for Goj Van Dyer when he was part of the Imperium and he nearly threw everything into a second heresy.
Right. That's another fun part about this is narrowing down the timeline. Are we talking about modern timeline? Are we talking about Horus Heresy? What era of the Imperium? I guess just to help set the tone of the question, I'll go first.
Yeah, that's why I'm trying to establish parameters here. Like, what the fuck do you mean by is the Imperium evil?
Okay.
It's such a massive question.
To help set the tone for the question, I'll answer first. So, is the Imperium evil? I would say by our, or at the very least my, subjective view of evil from the 21st century, looking on, as opposed to trying to look at it with the lens of the setting itself, I would say they are. But I would say that is the incorrect way to look at the Imperium, or look at any faction within this setting, or within any fictional setting. You shouldn't look at it from the lens of your own beliefs and your own worldview. By all means, you can apply that and, make assertions about it. But I think especially when we're talking about a setting like this that's so alien to our own, you should factor in within the setting, are they evil? Like, I'd say a part of evil is intentional maliciousness and causing harm when you don't have to. It's unnecessary, sinister acts. Like murder, death, raping, all these things. Violations of physical and metaphysical. Violations of the mental and the physical. Like, these things, are they being done for no reason or no greater, quote unquote, greater good? Is it just being done for the expression of power and the expression of control? Or is it being done primarily to protect, to save, to conserve, and maintain? And I'd say in the case of the Imperium, the answer is all of it, or the vast majority of the evils we can think of, have been done because it's about preserving humanity's existence within the 41st millennium. Now, again, by my 21st century modern day point of view, it's still evil, but I'm trying to keep in mind what they're dealing with. So if the Imperium didn't do the authoritarian, horrible things that they oftentimes do to their own people, if the Inquisition wasn't so restrictive and so volatile, and didn't go as far as to annihilate entire worlds for corruptions to chaos, or to the gene stealer cults and tyrannids, or to orc fungal spreads and infections, if they didn't go this far, where would the Imperium be? It would be gone. It would not exist. Humanity would have died 1,000 times over if a lot of the evil acts that are performed in the 41st millennium weren't performed. So when we talk about evil, in the case of 40K in particular, you have to factor in the setting as a whole and everything that's going on.
Also, you mean it like a necessary evil?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's still evil, but that's the best way to put it, is necessary evil. So I guess the broad question, is the Imperium evil? I would answer yes. But is it evil for no good reason? I would say it has very good reasons for its evil. Like, all of the bad that the Imperium does, the vast majority of it is to preserve humanity.
Let's also factor in the factions that they have to deal with. You're dealing with chaos. These are demons that are constantly trying to get, they're trying to change the Imperium for the worst. There's also the orcs, who just want to fight. They don't really care that much about casualties of their own or others. They just really want to fight. Then there's the Tyranids.
Want to
They
eat
want
everything.
Huh?
Who want
Say that
to eat?
again?
Who want to eat everything?
Yeah. The Tyranids that want to eat everything, and they don't have morals about it either. Then you have, of course, something like the Necrons that don't really, again, they also want to just eradicate everything they see that isn't them. So if we're going off again,
Well, they are with themselves too, which is just saying.
Yeah. So really, if we're going off that, again, I think necessary evil is a fitting description, because again, if you didn't fight, in this setting, it's like you're gonna lose. You are going to lose. You can definitely the Imperium. I don't really see the Imperium as evil in the sense.
Yeah, the thing is, it's not just down to fighting though. Like, it's also like you got to look at how the Imperium treats itself. Like the hive worlds, like they're a great example. Hive worlds within the Imperium. It's just a giant industrial hub where human meat is just thrown into the gears of the war machine that is the Imperium's machine and structural and construction and factories and manufactorums. Like, they're constantly churning out things to pay the tithe to the greater war of the Imperium. These hive worlds are constantly running through people's lives, where the average life expectancy is probably 5 to 6 years tops. And that's malnourished, incredibly infectious living environments, poor conditions psychologically, like habitat rings where people are living in charitably barracks-like conditions, where everyone's got a triple bunk bed, where you got less than 2 feet from the next bunk above you to the ceiling. Like, it's these really tense, horrible conditions. But what if the Imperium didn't do that? What if the Imperium was a lot more free? What if the Imperium was a lot more kind to its civilian base? And because of that, the productivity lowered. Would they survive with that lowered manufacturing? And it's with any kind of industry, mind you. And we're talking ammunition. We're talking about armaments for tanks. We're talking about foodstuffs for the soldiers on the front lines. We're talking about every type of industry possible.
It would effectively just collapse, honestly.
Yeah, if a single hive world, Like that's why exterminatusing as a hive world is such a big fucking deal. It's like not only are you like it's not even a big deal because of the loss of human life. That sucks, but that's oftentimes acceptable losses against the corruption of chaos, against the corruption, against the world being completely consumed by an orc Wa. It's completely acceptable against Tyranids, compared to being the Tyranids being wiping out a planet. Like that's usually the exception. But with hive worlds or manufactorum worlds or mechanicus worlds, with any of these things, if you exterminate such a world, the real loss is in the productivity and additions to the Imperium's survival tools, which is primarily weapons of some kind, or soldiers, or foodstuffs. Like industry is constantly barely keeping up with the demand. And should you remove a whole hive world out of the equation, you just lowered the survival chances of guardsmen, which is already a percent at best, to maybe 0.002%. Now they're like the likelihood of their death is not even on the enemy charging them down and wiping them out. It's now simply dying due to malnutrition. It's dying to a lack of ammunition and being overrun. Like every single thing is constantly on this tightrope of barely functioning. So should the Imperium have less of an aggressive whip being cracked? How long would it take for the humanity to completely be wiped out?
Probably overnight, when you think about it.
In the grand scheme of the universe, it would certainly feel like that. It certainly is an entire star cluster of worlds would fall very quickly. So, yeah, the Imperium's actions are not done for maliciousness. It's not just a bunch of ivory tower, like, $1 million, type villains. Yeah, they are kind of like that personality-wise, but generally speaking, they're making the best choices for humanity as a whole. Like, this isn't being done for mustache-twirling villainy. It's being done because every horrible act, unfortunately, is necessary to keep humanity as a whole alive. Now, obviously, thematically and narratively, that does present a fun question for us, since we're not experiencing exactly that. But it does present a fun question to the readers or to those of us who engage in 40K. It presents us a cool moral quandary to discuss. It's like, okay, what's better? To do these such horrible things, but humanity survives as a cost of it? Or is humanity better off being wiped out than living in such conditions? It's kind of a fun philosophical question.
Yeah, and but also, sorry, you just you had me right there, pretty much, because again, like necessary evil pretty much sums up majority of the Imperium, because you couldn't say, necessary. Well, you could sorta say necessary evil with the Drukhari, but stuff like, say, chaos, they don't. It's like with them, it's not necessary. They want to do this, and the orcs, they
Well,
want to.
in the Drukhari's defense, it is kind of necessary. What if the Drukhari stop doing Slaneshi things? What happens?
Pretty much, they shrivel up and die.
The Slanesh will consume their souls, and they can't repopulate. They will die out completely. So just like the Imperium, if they stop doing the horrible things that they do, they will die. Now, granted, they don't need to take such pleasure in it. That's, I think, where we can make the argument the Drukhari are evil compared to the Imperium, is they take great joy in the evil that they do. Yes, it's necessary, but you can't deny that they enjoy it. So I would make the argument on the basis of that the Drukhari are more evil than the Imperium. Because I wouldn't say anyone's happy within the Imperium. Even the High Lords of Terror, I wouldn't say are happy.
No, God, can you imagine? Just being on one of these worlds, just absolute fumes everywhere. It's just like, stinks.
Yeah, like no, like the only people who are happy in the Imperium are those who live on vacation worlds, and there are very few of those. Very, very fucking few.
Yeah. It's just kind of funny though. It's like having vacation worlds. It's like, oh yeah, the entire galaxy is in It's on the brink of extinction here, but hey, we have this. Just go to the beach. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's almost more mythological in the lore at this point.
Yeah, like a dream to sell to like the Imperium or something.
I don't know. That's my general approach to this question, though, is the summation of my thoughts. Is the Imperium evil? Yes. But is it evil in the sense of, hollow evil, like evil like we usually think about it, where it's just mustache twirling nonsense and disgusting behavior for malicious reasons? Or is it, in this case, a necessary evil? And I'd say it's necessary evil. Doesn't make it not evil. These are horrible things. And my answer to the philosophical question of is it better off for humanity to exist and continue to survive? Or is it better for us to die out rather than engage in such horrible things just for the sake of existing? Personally, I think we're better off dying out than living in such horrible conditions and such horrible circumstances. That's my thought, and in and of itself, there's plenty of argument against my point of view, but that's mine. I would say overall the Imperium is evil, but again, it's a necessary evil for the continued existence of humanity.
Nathan, your thoughts?
Uh,
Have I fried your
lie, this
brain?
question-
Have I fried your
Yeah,
brain?
this-
I mean, you kind
No.
of fried mine as well.
No, you raise like very good points because this question fucked me up because it's like, who are we to decide that we are the thing that should be within the universe? Like, what right do we have over every other species that exists?
Like, who is the high
Like-
judge to call us
Ye-
evil? Something like that.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
like, why-
I'm human supremacy all the way, but that's because I am human.
But again, there are people that say that the Imperium is evil and the Tyranids could possibly not in any way be evil because that is their way of life. That is that is
Yeah, I would.
they are hard coded to do something, right?
Right.
So
It's
you
like a
wouldn't call the
squirrel.
Tyranids evil.
Yeah, it's like a squirrel that eats, nuts. It's like why
Yeah.
why does a squirrel eat a nut and not a steak? Because nature designed it that way.
Yeah, you're expecting it to do so.
Yeah,
So-
it's not evil to the nut for the squirrel to do that. It's not evil to the
Mm.
fox that eats the chicken. It's not evil to the lion that eats the gazelle. Like evil, we subscribe evil. That's another major thing to factor in. And obviously, this only applies to the Tyranids, of course, because we're talking about the Imperium. So obviously, we don't have to make this point, but I'll make it all the same. Evil is only ever, I think, correct to apply to something that is sentient and is intelligent. Evil is a product of intelligence, but still doing sinister acts despite that intelligence. Like you have the ability to understand what you do and think about it, but yet you still perform the way that you do.
What's the best way to describe it? Intentional malicious act without necessity. I think. But even then, it's like there is necessary evil. But I do think like a true evil is again, doing something without without a need to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my train of thought because I was going to elaborate before, like the fact that people do bring up the point of the Tyranids doing it solely for survival. But as humans, do we not also have the survival instinct in us? Have we not had this since, we first kind of started? Like survival at any means necessary. And if not our survival, the greater survival of our species and our race by sacrificing oneself so that the rest kind of continues. Because it depends on your definition of evil. Because some people would argue that necessary evil doesn't exist. Like there's evil and then there's actually doing stuff to survive.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's what's been fucking me up about this question because it goes, oh yeah, well the Imperium is evil because there are a lot of people within the Imperium that knowingly subject people to, absolutely squalid conditions if it just means that they can be harvested out on the meat grinder. And then you're thinking, well, these people are sacrificing themselves for the love of the Emperor and his vision for the overall species of mankind itself. And would you really call that evil if people are killing the things that are trying to kill them? Because humanity was not the first species in the galaxy, was it?
No.
Like, would you call the Eldar evil for killing the Necrons? When the Necrons were the ones that started the shit in the first place?
Yeah, technically.
Because the Eldar are a sentient race, aren't they? And the old ones created them. But they came before the Necrons. And if the Necrons started killing the Eldar, then would you call the Eldar evil for killing the Necrons back? I mean, they were designed to do that, but the Eldar in all their high ass morality and are not going to turn the nose and goes, no, we look down on such things as killing and torture and murder. It's just not our way of life.
I kind of like Warhammer Elves because they don't do that. It's just like, no, we do that shit all the time.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
All day, every day. We would kill all you monkeys every day. Oh, sorry, Monkai. Air quotes.
Yeah.
We all know what they're saying. They're saying monkey. Listen to any of the fucking audiobooks, by the way. I want to say credit to the credit to the narrators of the fucking. Seriously, this is to you guys, but there's also to the audience. If you have never listened to an audiobook from Black Library, I don't know what they say to the narrators when they hire them, but I feel like they're just like, hey, read it exactly how you think it's supposed to be said. Because though they write it in a way where they're trying to make it so you're supposed to say Monkai, but the fucking narrators, I love them because they're just like if you listen to the Fulgrim book, the narrator of that book narrates the Eldar literally just saying stupid monkeys, it says in the book Monkai, it's got the fucking apostrophe and shit, right? But the narrator's just like monkey. Without missing a beat, just says monkey.
Yes, company sanctioned racism.
It's like they just told the narrators, say it. Do it. Don't say Monkai, say monkey. That's what we all know what we wanted. Oh, that's great. Anyway. But yeah, one thing I'll elaborate on a little bit about what I was saying with the necessary when I approach the question, I do approach it with my subjective view of evil, and I do think there's a hard line between good and evil. This is based on my own morality, but that's how I approach it. I can't approach it any differently, really. But with evil, I think there is a hard line between a neutral act, a gray act, and then evil. And for me, it's when you infringe on the autonomy of another being. Now, obviously, a lot of people would say, well, what if the autonomy of another being is trying to kill you? Okay, if you kill that being, though, you've committed still an evil act. If you have the intelligence to think about it and run away, technically. Now, again, there's lots of holes with this. There's lots of arguments against my hard, line. And obviously, it's not as simple, but I'm trying to keep it consumable. Honestly, that's why a part of me was kind of tempted to make this a whole podcast question rather than a part of a 3-parter. But trying to keep it succinct, it's when you infringe on the autonomy of another being. Trying to put this into concrete terms. It's when you infringe on the autonomy of another being when it's independent and acting separate from you and not infringing on your autonomy. So, yeah, that's generally when we starting to get to evil acts. So if another being is living separate from you and not acting at all malicious towards you or affecting your autonomy, but then you use with your intelligence and your sentience, you choose to then infringe on that creature's autonomy, even though it's separate from you and leaving you alone. So if that creature or that being or that individual is leaving you alone, you still do things to infringe upon it. Whether that's infringing upon it economically, infringing upon it physically, mentally, whatever it is you're doing, you are knowingly affecting it in negative ways and hurting it. Maybe not even for your own benefit, but it can be. But it doesn't matter. You're infringing on that creature's rights, so to speak, to exist separate from you. That is when I consider something an evil act. Now, again, you can do that and it be a quote-unquote necessary evil. But that's why I believe in necessary evils, because sometimes there are argues to be made for that. But I don't think a necessary evil then translates to being not an evil act. Because if you ask that other being that its autonomy is now being affected to, hey, is this being affecting your autonomy evil? They would say yes. Absolutely. But I still think, like that is still a definitively evil act. Necessary by one's own perspective, but that doesn't magically make it not evil.
It actually kind of reminds me of that one bit the one where basically I don't know which Xenos it was, but basically said it's like, would you still murder like my family or innocents and all stuff like that? And the Imperium or some guy, I don't remember if it was the Imperium or something, but it just went yes.
Oh, Tau. It was Tau.
Oh, it was
that it
Tau,
happened
yeah.
with. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you can say that is definitely evil. Then again, the Tau aren't exactly like they're not a good thing for the Imperium. The Tau have their own agendas. They want to take people away from the Imperium. They want to recruit them in their own armies. They want to, sterilize them. They want to effectively brainwash them with their own propaganda. It's like, yeah, it's a kind of, it is a higher quality of living, but like. But like, is it really? It's like, is it that better in general? It's like you're still doing an evil act, and if that doesn't work, I mean, they can also the Tau also full on call on genocides. It's like, okay, if you didn't kill, say the Tau, right? You can get into like trades and stuff like that. You can have but it is a potential to have a non-conflict relationship. But generally, it is the exception rather than the norm. So so is it really an evil act to kill the Tau or like kill someone who is not necessarily uh fighting back? I mean, yes, I think it's evil. If sorry, I am going on rambles. But
No,
basically,
like that's fine. Asmo, you definitely asked a very.
it's a
This goes
very
beyond 40k. This is a very philosophical question. Like, what constitutes evil? Like, wars have been fought over this concept
Yep.
for human
Absolutely.
history. Like, it's a colossal question.
I also think, in general, it's like if we're talking about whether or not the Imperium is evil, I think we also need to, not to try and make this longer, but also tackles like, what is good in the Imperium? What would be considered good? What is a good act within the Imperium, relatively speaking? Because it is, I can make an argument for, say, defending a planet from a Tyranid invasion. That is definitely a good act to do because they have no good intentions for those humans. They just want to turn them into biomass or stuff like that. But stuff like the Drukhari, like nothing they do is really for good. Nothing they ever do is
It's for their good.
It's for their good. Yes, and that good infringes upon the rights of others.
Yes.
It's like
Which
yes.
is evil by my subjective point of view of evil.
Mm.
And again, like
Exactly.
I'm not here to dictate like I'm correct. I believe I'm correct for sure. But
Mm.
like I wouldn't have like if all of you guys had disagreed with me right here. And honestly, like I was curious how we'd all approach this question. Now I like that all of us are thinking it pretty in depth, but quite honestly, like if we had approached this and let's say Nico, you just went, is it if I asked the question, is the Imperium evil, and you went, nah. And I said, oh, okay, why?
That,
He's like, because everyone else is evil too. I would have been
that
like,
is
okay, fair answer. But we're all going at this way more in depth, which is far more fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's like if you don't really. The thing is, like, I can understand like not really going into any further because it's it's a sci-fi setting. But usually the best ones allow us to ask these kinds of questions, but also ponder it. Like it can also be a reflection of what our values are,
Mm.
and none of that is like again. It's like it's all just the setting being itself, and that is what I appreciated.
Mm.
Isn't
me-
this a lot more fun than talking about female space marines?
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
I know. Yeah,
Yes.
Sorry.
I
Yeah.
think to add on what you said before, Nico, because defending from the Tyranid invasion, like you said, would be a good thing, right, for the
Mhm.
Imperium.
Yeah.
In the same vein that if you were to not call the Imperium evil for wanting to preserve itself, you can't then necessarily call it good for wanting to preserve itself because that's a very selfish thing.
Mhm.
Like Asmo said before, like it's good, like say for what the Drakari do, it's good for them, but is it really just good? Like, is it good for them, or is it just an example of self-preservation? Like, there's no morality about it. It's just pure instinct. It's pure genetic instinct to want to preserve yourself
Yeah.
or carry on your species.
And I think that's a pretty good example of neither side doing, and it's one of the only examples of it, especially in 40K, where
Is that-
neither side is evil.
Like kind of like a moral neutral, or
Uh, I would say for the humans, it's morally good to do what they're doing, and for the Tyranids, it's neither moral good nor bad. Like they are a mechanism of nature, so to speak. Now, of course, I believe in the theory that they were created by something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they aren't a gear of nature, because nature itself, especially in 40K, was created by beings. Like that's
Although
pretty undoubtable.
it's actually kind of funny though, because when you actually, it's interesting. It's good that you mentioned that they're a product of nature, because some people don't understand that. Oh, some people think that we should all return back to nature and we should all get all in touch and all that. Nature is vicious. It
Return
does
to
not
monkey.
care. It
Yes, but
will.
nature is
It
not
will.
evil. Because
it's not
evil
evil.
requires intelligence. It requires sentience. It require
Exactly.
like nature is just a mechanism. It's a machine that operates as it does. In a very balancing act.
It
Like
wants to live.
it
Basically.
it wants to exist. This is where like live and exist I kind of define as separate. A human, a person lives. An animal exists. It survives. What's the difference? Well, living, as I kind of accept it, is you have goals. You have personal goals, aspirations, ideas, dreams. You fail, you succeed, you pick yourself back up when you fail, you hold yourself high when you succeed, and you adapt, you change. You're versatile. You don't flow in one direction like a river. You can go in so many, and it's your choice is what defines, like the star is the limit for you. Living is thriving. It's truly experiencing the epitome of your existence. Surviving is simply continuing your heartbeat for another day.
Mm.
Like that for me is like, now obviously if we like someone says like, oh, I'm so glad I'm alive, or I live, I almost got ran over by that vehicle. Like, I'm not gonna go like, well, actually, you're surviving. Like, no, like I'm not gonna do that. But in these discussions of philosophy, I define them separately.
What? A conversation with different philosophical viewpoints where we're not all shouting each other and shouting like insults. What is this?
Absolutely. What is,
No.
what
So,
is this,
like
madness?
civility in my 40K conversation. Get that shit out of here.
Preposterous.
But yeah, like
Oh.
this is one of those questions that we could go on for a long time. Probably should have been its own podcast dedicated question, but yeah.
I'm not gonna lie though, I would have definitely have prepared personally because it's such a fascinating subject. to really like delve into. So
Yeah.
even if you have what you think is the full answers, like it can still surprise you.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't need to prepare for this question because this type of like shit keeps me up at night, just thinking like, what the fuck actually is evil? like,
Yeah.
like to an average like eight to an average like shitter out there, like a normie, who maybe they aren't religious, and they're like, oh, we die, end of, that's it, maggots in the ground, circle of life. If you are religious, which I don't claim to be religious. I'm open-minded, but I'm not actually like religious myself, like with a dedicated faith.
Mhm.
To people who have sort of beliefs about an afterlife and something beyond this mortal coil, this shit can be fucking terrifying to deal with.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you always second guess, like, was this action evil? Was this action good? Did I do
Like,
the right thing?
how does
Was
my
I
patron god like view this particular actions? Like, am I going
exactly?
to hell for this one action that I
Yeah.
regret doing?
It,
Mm,
it kind of makes you envious of narcissists, doesn't it? Like narcissists, they don't have those doubts. Like they're like, nah, I'm God. Like I'm amazing. Like I'm
I
fantastic.
I
do
would
not
never
like
want to be
narcissism.
one though.
Yeah.
I'll
No.
be honest.
No, no, I wouldn't want to be either. But that's because we all have the self awareness that a narcissist doesn't. Like to be a narcissist, you kind of have to be a little bit ignorant. Like I'm like, oh, if I ever like became one for a day, I'd be like, oh, so this is what it's like to be Major Kill.
Oh.
Oh,
Shots fired.
thank God I can edit these.
But you will.
Leave it in.
But anyway, so to try and condense this, if you had to wrap it up, kind of like I did, obviously oversimplifying it for your grander thoughts, but for the sake of like putting a bow on it,
Mm,
would
okay.
you say the Imperium is evil? And you can give qualifiers.
So, presuming that the rest of this conversation is going to be in the episode when you release it, because I think from everyone's point of view, everyone's context within the conversation needs to be kind of left in, if you get me.
Yeah, I'm
'Cause it
not gonna
adds
cut
sort
that
of
out. Like very
yeah.
little of the podcast are
Mm,
gonna get cut
okay.
out in general.
So, okay. So, presuming that all that stays in from my perspective, the Imperium is not evil, but they're not good. But I can't afford them being good at the same time. Like it's just a pure drive for survival, the same way the Tyranids and the same way the old ones fought for their survival. They're neither bad, but you can't claim that they're good whatsoever. If we're talking about the faction as a whole, because there are examples of both within the organization itself. But in my opinion, they're not good, but they're not bad either. It's just pure instinct to just carry on for another day. See how far you can make it.
Fair enough.
Yep.
All right,
I-
Nico.
I think again, it's like I think it is kind of pointless to try and view things from our point of view because obviously, like from our modern day perspectives, because I think it is incredibly misguided. So, trying to view things from their lens, I don't think they are strictly evil, nor do I think they do much good. If you get me, because they do horrendous things to their own people as well, all in the name of surviving. So, while I honestly just think the best way to describe them is necessary evil. You wish you could do better, obviously, but at the end of the day, it's like, what's that going to get you? It's likely going to get you killed. So, yeah, I think necessary evil in general. I think the Imperium is, and I think also it's also important to try not to view it from our. God damn, books are falling everywhere. Not to view it from our perspective, because it's just an unfair comparison. Because obviously we're gonna think they are evil, by our standards, but they have to do it to survive.
So that's our thoughts on is the Imperium evil, and obviously the other two subjects, which is gonna be a chunky episode. All right. So, any final thoughts, gentlemen?
I love the fact that the podcast, like the first two topics were like haha happy fun times, and then the third question was like the most philosophical I've ever gotten in fucking years. Like actually sat down, hands in front of my fucking face, like in the thinking position, like
It's
it's
like that.
Hey, what's your favorite 40k product? Hey, what's your favorite faction?
It's like the
The,
dude meme.
the sins of my actions weigh upon my shoulders.
It's like the dude meme with
Life
the little
is
fucking
meaningless.
penguin. Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's like,
Yeah.
it's like
Dramatic
actually going
Pingu.
to. It's like actually going to a philosophical degree, but it's like actually fun because it's stuff we're interested in. I swear to God, bro, it is.
Oh my god.
Ah.
Jesus Christ.
No, this was worth it because I know this is going to keep me up at night, even though it is it's 1:30.
Nico, do not. I can tell you from experience. Do not let this shit keep you up at night, because it will not be just one night that it will keep you up.
It's like,
Oh no.
So Nathan, you lived on that perpetual meme of that person in bed who their brain's like, "Hey, you almost asleep yet?" Yeah, shut up. And then the next one is the brain kind of staring off into the distance and then saying something like incredibly philosophical. Then it cuts to the person in bed and their eyes are like popping out of their skull open.
Nearly every single night, if I wake up at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, guaranteed it's some random existential thought that's popped into my head, and you're right, my eyes are just like wide open, like, brain, why do you do this to me? And he goes, haha, because you have nothing else to do.
It's like you will be.
Hey Nathan, you could play games, you could get food, but here's some existential dread coming your way. Thanks, brain.
Hey Nathan, have you cleaned the Dawn of War discs yet? Fuck.
No.
It's like, have you prayed to it 3 times a day?
That's the one thing his brain doesn't wake him up over because he knows he does it.
My brain does not need to do that. Like I said, because they have been incensed, they have been cleaned with the finest of holy water, and they are locked in their case. They do not need to be cleaned for years and years and years. I like other people doom prep with tins of canned food, like powdered milk. Nah, as long as I have my Dawn of War collection disc set and like a DVD, like a CD player, like an external one, I can run this bitch on anything. I'm fine for the apocalypse.
He's set ready to go.
I need nothing. Like any fucking, I won't name current countries, but they can bomb the shit out of each other. I do not care, as long as I can still play Space Marines versus Orcs on Biffy's peril, fucking 4v4, like 4-person map. I don't give a shit.
But what if one of them
the Germans bring the
away?
air raids back to the UK and Britain, and Nathan just yells out his window, "Can you knock it off? I'm playing UA." Slams window.
I can't hear Gabriel Angelos monologue in the fucking campaign. You can't stop. Fuck off.
Dude, I kind of imagine you would go full like Punisher if someone actually took the discs away. It's like this means.
Yes. I start walking up into the street. Russo.
Oh my god, would you go full like roof Korean? It's just like, where's the bitch at? Where's the bitch at?
Yeah, I would literally camp on top of my roof with like a fucking bow and arrow, like ye olde English bowman times. Start pelting them from a mile out.
I love the idea. You would
have
just
to use a bow and arrow. Y'all don't
that
have
bitch.
guns.
I'll fuck off, Yang. Don't even bring this up. This is a nice podcast. I have my trusty bow and arrow.
It's like, that's all I need. To be fair, Mad Jack Churchill did also just go to war with a fucking bow and arrow.
That motherfucker ran through Krauts as if it was a fucking
wearing a kilt,
chopper,
singing on bagpipes and bow and arrowing guys in the dome.
An absolute
hilt
man.
sword.
Oh, love it.
All right. Okay. Anyway, that's it for this episode of the VoxWork podcast. I have been Asmogan.
I have been
Nicho.
Nico 40K.
I've been Nathan X2000.
And we all bid you a great night. Make sure to subscribe, leave a like, comment, and we can't wait to see you on the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.